Today we're looking at 3 multi-tools from some of the most renowned brands when it comes to multi-tools. The Leatherman Micra, the Gerber dime, and the Victorinox Minichamp. All 3 are small, compact multi-tools, convenient to carry either in your pocket or as a keychain. So the question here is, which one is the best option? Let's try to find out. As mentioned, all 3 are compact, with the Gerber dime coming in at weight 2.2 ounces, length 2 3/4 of an inch, width 7/8 of an inch, and height 1/2 of an inch. The Victorinox Minichamp comes in at weight 1.6 ounces, length 2 1/4 inches, width 3/4 of an inch, and height 9/16 of an inch. And the Leatherman Micra comes in at weight 1.8 ounces, length 2 1/2 inches, width 3/4 of an inch, and height 3/8 of an inch. All 3 tools are around the same size, but when it comes to the weight, the Gerber dime is slightly heavier. And if you're planning on hanging it from your keys, you can feel the weight difference if you compare it to the Minichamp, which is the lightest from the 3. Now the Minichamp has 18 tools, the Micra says it has 10, but for this video, we'll say it has 11, and that's because the Micra clearly doesn't count the key ring attachment as a tool, whereas the Minichamp and the dime do. And the dime comes in with 12 tools. First, we'll look at the similar tools they have in common, and then we'll look at the additional tools each one has. All 3 tools have scissors. The ones on the Micra are clearly bigger. You have good leverage thanks to the long handles, so you can cut through thicker items because of the longer handles when you put some leverage on them. However, even though they are longer, its performance sometimes falls behind as it has a hard time cutting through certain items consistently. The Gerber dime scissors are practically the same size as the Minichamps, but they're not as effective in cutting. From the 3 scissors, I find that the dimes are the least effective in cutting items. If you're trying to cut through some thick paper or rope or anything like that, you're going to have a hard time with the dime. In my opinion, Victorinox makes some of the best scissors. They usually cut well, and in the case of the Minichamp, it is not the exception. You get the best from Victorinox. They are small, however, they still get the job done when trying to cut some rope, paper, thin wires, things of that sort. They cut through items so well that they leave clean cuts. This is something that the Micra and the dime scissors cannot do, as those sometimes struggle to cut through certain items. When it comes to the scissors, I would much rather prefer either the Minichamps or the Micras, but the best ones from all 3, in my opinion, are the Minichamps. Either way, all 3 get you out of a bind. In the case of the tweezers, I will say when comparing next to each other, the ones on the Micra are thicker and they have a firm feeling to them. The biggest difference though is that the Minichamps and dimes are removable, whereas the Micras are not. That can be viewed as a good or bad thing because the Micras are non-removable. You get a firmer grip on the rest of the tool, which ensures that the tweezers do not slip off your hands. But for smaller items you're trying to grip, sometimes it works best to grip them with the Minichamp or the dimes because you can sometimes maneuver them better with just your fingertips and not necessarily holding the entire tool like in the case of the Micra. If I have to pick from the 3 tweezers, I still prefer the ones on the Minichamps, and that is just because I am used to the grip on the Victorinox tweezers. Plus, they've proven with the passing of time that they are extremely reliable and well built. In second place, I would put the Micras because of the firm grip you can get on it. And in final place would be the dime. And the reason for that is because the dime's tweezers feel pretty flimsy, that if you put too much pressure when closing them, you can even accidentally bend them. Next, we have the small blades. The blade on the dime is slightly thicker from all 3, but when it comes to the length, they're all almost the same size. You have easier access to the Minichamps and the dimes since you don't have to open the tools. Plus, you have another little knife, which they call the letter opener on the Minichamp, in case you need a second blade. I would give the W to the Minichamp because the additional small blade, even though they call it a letter opener, it's the same thing as a small blade. So you have that second one as a backup. I do like the design on the Micras though, but the one thing I don't like about the Micras knife is that the blade is towards the back of the tool. So you always have to hold the knife at an angle to cut something. So in first place, I would put the Minichamp in this category, second the Micra, and third the dime. Next, we have the bottle openers, which are similar on the Micra and Minichamp. In the case of the Micra, you have to open the tool to pull out the bottle opener. On the Minichamp, it obviously opens up from the outside. However, in this category, I do feel that the dime takes its first place because you don't have to open the tool or flip it open at all. This is found on the top of the tool for easy access. It doesn't get any easier than that. so the dime dominates in this category. Then in second, I would put the Minichamp because it is slightly easier to access than the Micras. And in last place, it would be the Micra. The key ring is practically the same size on all three, not much of a difference, but the one on the Micra and the Minichamp have stronger, firmer key rings, which you can hang from any keys without you having to worry that the ring will come loose or break or something like that. The dimes, on the other hand, is a little bit flimsy. So if you do get the dime, you may want to consider swapping out the key ring, or you can hang your keys from the bottle opener as well, in case you don't really use it. When it comes to the flathead screwdrivers, the Micra and the dime have two, while the Minichamp only has one. So for me, the Micra and the dime have an advantage, because one, you have the extra screwdriver, and two, they are actually useful. One that's for small screws and the other that works great for big screws. Whereas the Minichamp's flathead is limited to what type of screws it can remove, because they cannot be too small, but they can't really remove big screws either that are too tight. Otherwise, you can damage the screws when trying to turn them. So the Micra and the dime take the top spot in this category when it comes to the flathead screwdrivers. And the Minichamp comes in at third place. The nail file is practically the same on the Micra and the Minichamp. You'll get the same results out of these tools. Whether you're trying to file a piece of metal or your nails, they'll get the job done just fine. The ones on the dime, even though you get two, they're too small in my opinion. So we have a tie between the Micra and the Minichamp. And in last place, we would put the dime in this category. Next, we have more similar tools, but in this case, these are tools that only the Micra and the Minichamp have in common. The dime doesn't have any of these tools. And the first one is the Phillips screwdriver. Now the Phillips screwdriver on the Micra works just fine, but it can also be used as a flathead screwdriver too, because as you can see, this is a flat Phillips screwdriver. The Minichamp's Phillips has an actual Phillips head design though. They both work great for small screws, but we'll give the W to the Micra because it can also be used as an additional flathead. Plus I forgot to mention that both screwdrivers have a magnetic tip, so that's another great feature on these Phillips. For the nail cleaner, I would give the Micra the first place just because of its design, which I find is more effective with the hook design. That hook design has worked much better for me. It grabs and pulls out anything under your nails perfectly. When it comes to the rulers, the Micra has a longer ruler than the Minichamp. You just have to make sure that when measuring with the Micra, the ends are touching each other so you can have an accurate reading. In this case, I give the W to the Micra as well, because I feel it's a little more useful over the Minichamp's ruler due to its size. Plus the numbers on the Minichamp are harder to read than the ones on the Micra. Next, we have the additional tools included on each one of these tools that do not fall under the category of similar tools that they have in common. In this case, we've already reviewed all the tools included on the Micra. Only the Minichamp and the dime have additional tools in this list. We'll begin with the Minichamp. The first tool is the toothpick, which always comes in handy for several things other than to clean your teeth. But you'll have to switch out the tweezers if you want to carry the toothpick though. Next up, we have the letter opener. Now I don't get too many personal letters, but some guy named Bill keeps charging me for stuff. So I have to open Bill letters all the time to see how much I owe him. With that being said, the letter opener comes in handy for sure. And if you have it hanging on your keys, it's conveniently located for easy access. The next up is the wire stripper, which does come in handy when you don't have anything else on hand to strip with wires. You have a cuticle pusher, which is useful, but I can live without it. You have an orange peeler, which again, you can live without. You can use the blade instead to peel an orange. I feel that the orange peeler would be best used as a box opener. Then you have the scraper at the tip of the orange peeler, which I've never used either. And finally, you have the ballpoint pen, which I feel is one of the most important tools in the Minichamp, as you just don't know when you'll need a pen. But when you do need it, you'll be glad you have one on your Minichamp. Now let's look at the additional tools on the Gerber dime. And we'll start with the retail package opener. This is the second most useful tool in the Gerber dime in my opinion, as I always find myself using that or the knife to open boxes. But for the most part, I'll first take the retail package opener. Now you also have some wire cutters included. And finally, you have the spring-loaded pliers, which are the #1 tool on the Gerber dime in my opinion. This has helped me hold bolts or untangle wires, so these are essential to have on the dime. It's also important to note the price, where the Gerber dime is the more affordable option coming in at around $25 to $30 US.
Then comes the Micra at around 50 US dollars, and then the Minichamp coming in at around 60 US dollars. So if you're looking for something more affordable that won't break the bank and won't break your heart if you lose it, then the Gerber dime would be your best preference. If you're looking for something that's priced mid-range, that is built well, and has some longer scissors, then the Micra would be your best choice. But if you're looking for reliability and willing to pay a little extra, then the Minichamp would be your best bet. So after reviewing all three tools, the similar tools they have in common, and the additional tools each one has, I personally came to the conclusion that the best tool from the three would be the Minichamp. In second, it would be the Micra, and in third would be the dime. The reason is because 1, you just can't go wrong with the reliability of the Minichamp. 2, the pen and the scissors come in handy so much in a daily urban situation. And those scissors are the best from all three in my opinion. In second place, I put the Leatherman Micra, thanks to those useful flatheads and flat Phillips and those long scissors. Even though they sometimes are not the best, they still come in handy with that longer grip. And finally, in third place, I would put the Gerber. And I will be the first to admit that I did carry the Gerber dime for a full year, and I did enjoy it, but the quality just isn't the same. It just doesn't compare in my opinion to the Micra or the Minichamp. But this is my personal subjective view. I would love to hear from you guys to see what you think. Which multi-tool do you prefer and why? Let me know in the comment section. That is all I have for y'all today. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on another one of our videos. Thank you for your time. Take care. Have yourself a great day.